Welcome to Paw Print Academy, your blueprint to raising better dogs. My name's Ryan, and I'll be your host for this journey. I've got my trusty co-host here, Brianna.
Hello.
And together we're bringing you real-world training insights built on leadership, structure, and proven methods. We record this podcast with live clients on the line in one take with live, unscripted questions and answers. At the end of the day, this podcast is a lot more than just teaching your dog to sit or stay. It's about building trust, creating calmness, and becoming the kind of leader your dog truly needs. We do that with our 3-pillar method of trust, obey, and perform. Together, we'll show you how these 3 pillars shape every step of training. Thanks for being here. Let's get started. All right. Hey there. Episode 29, Dog-to-Dog Aggression, Managing and Retraining Safely. This episode comes with a disclaimer. It comes with a disclaimer for a couple of reasons. There are podcasts and hosts and trainers and folks that get on hold on just a second here. That's interesting. I had one in a waiting room. There we go. All right, you're in. Sorry about that. I changed a couple of settings. There's a few things getting changed around here. So let me fix this live real quick. There we go. Okay. So sorry.
Perfect.
This is live unedited. This is how it works. Okay. So this episode comes with a disclaimer. There are a lot of fancy, flashy folks out there that just turn a blind eye to actually trying to help with and handle like the real bad situations.
Yeah.
And the reason for that is because results are not guaranteed.
Yeah, it's a tough one for sure.
When you are dealing with this, like right off the bat, and it's an easy cop out, but at the same time, it's real. You need a professional. Mm-hmm. When you get dog-to-dog aggression stuff going on and you're trying to diagnose it and you're trying to figure it out. We were talked about leash reactivity, which is pretty common, but also manageable if you know what to look for. When we're talking about aggression, you're not just dealing with all the same variables. Why is my dog doing this? What are they thinking? What are they feeling? How are they expressing it? What are we missing? What are the cues? What are the prompts? Or not prompts. What are the cues? What's the fallback for the dog? Mm-hmm. But the other piece to this is what is the fallout for the dog and for the human when it doesn't work out.
Yeah, because like with leash reactivity, right, a lot of people just stop walking their dogs and they find alternate like solutions, or they walk their dogs in specific places, stuff like that. When you have like in your home, like dog-to-dog aggression, it can escalate quickly in some cases, not to like scare everybody, because not every dog escalates, right? There are some that have very high tolerances, but it can disrupt your home life for sure. And kind of cause a lot of increased stress in the home. And then when your stress increases, your dog's stress also increases.
Yeah. And it's, I was also going down the road of like physical injury.
Yeah.
Right.
Yep.
Because the downside, if the wheels fall off the train, right now you have a dog that has bit another dog or has bit a person or has bit something, right? And there's some sort of damage and follow on issues that you've got to deal with. And so that's the disclaimer for this whole episode is we're going to talk through some best practices on this. I'm not going to shy away or, shirk away from the concept. I think it's still important and worth discussing. But man, every variable matters.
Yeah, and so if you catch it early on enough, right, and you just like notice the tiny signs, then this may really help you in kind of like being able to just squash that immediately before anything progresses and get back on track.
Right.
But a lot of the times it's a little bit too late because you miss all the little tiny signals that dogs give you. And then you've had like a full on like fight in your home. And then there's no really coming back from that.
And when she says, oh, it's too late, what we're talking about is the level where I would be comfortable recommending to you that you could deal with it yourself.
Yeah.
For sure, what we're not saying is, oh, it's too late. You're there's no hope for your dog.
Right.
They can't learn.
Yeah.
You can't change anything. That's not what we're saying. But there are so many variables to this.
Yeah.
If you thought leash reactivity was complicated, this one's going to be difficult.
Mm-hmm.
So just go into it with that mindset and let's get into it.
Yeah.
I am going to start with 2 pieces of news. If I was to have any news here, the news is that the app is up and running and it's almost live. It's so close.
Where's the clapping one? I know there's applause on there.
But I don't know which one it is, and I'll probably get the wrong one. Nope. See? There it is.
Hey,
Found
the yellow.
it.
There we go.
There it is. So the app is coming right along. There are 4 different courses that are all live. All of the community, it all works. All the chat, the messaging, the AI insights, all of that stuff is working. I've got 30 or 40 people inside the app and working. So that being said, what I'm not doing yet is just opening the floodgates and allowing or advertising it. But I'm super excited that it's all coming together, and some people are already getting some benefits there. The next week, we will be releasing the official where you can go and get it. So next week.
Cool. Love it.
On other news, we have hit 800 listeners.
Woo! Clap, 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 clap.
I think actually it's not listeners. I'm sorry. 805 downloads.
Downloads, yeah.
805 downloads. So I don't know how many of those are not actual downloads. And there's probably a few people that listen and they're like, this guy sounds crazy. I'm not listening to this. So that is cool. We're moving up in the world there. And now, without further ado, let's jump into this. So dog-to-dog aggression it's not 100% random and unpredictable, right? It is difficult to predict. There are pieces that are unpredictable, but all dog-to-dog aggression usually follows a couple of patterns. And that pattern behavior that the dog exhibits can be driven by the dog's genetics. It can be driven by the dog's learning history, what they have figured out works or doesn't work. It can be driven by poor owner or handler management. Because we accidentally reinforced the wrong concept, thinking like a human instead of like a dog.
Yeah.
But no matter how it became patterned, we have to handle it, and we will handle it with kind of the same baseline foundational concepts, right? We're going to increase structure. We're going to bolster our safety measures to kind of guardrail especially human interaction, but dog-to-dog interaction. And then we're going to seek a lot of information. And this is where the disclaimer, professional level, instruction comes into play. Because if you don't know what to look for in the tiny little details, you're never going to fully figure it out.
Yeah.
And when owners come to me and they're like, my dog's aggressive because they're mad at me because I left, or because they're mad at the, this second and third order effect, I immediately go, sir or ma'am, you are in over your head, because that right there, right off the bat, we're already anthropomorphizing
I don't
onto
know
the
how
dog.
you keep saying that word. You say it a lot, and I just
Anthropomorphizing.
cannot.
We're already putting our emotions onto the dog.
Mm-hmm.
And that's a recipe for failure, because it's not real, right? The dog's not actually feeling that.
Yeah.
So at the point where someone demonstrates to me that they're talking about the dog in human speak, you probably shouldn't be the person that's trying to like dismantle the dog's psychology into why they're being aggressive or not.
Right, because a lot of times what we see is dog to dog aggression. It usually forms from like owners loving their dogs like so much and just feeling bad about certain situations that, they don't want to put them in, and doing that alone, feeling bad about putting them in a management strategy and things like that. It's about safety. There's people that we've met that let dogs run their household to the point where like it's not safe or a good environment for the human. And at that point, like we go in as like teammates of the human, right? And we're like, we have to get your life back on track.
Yeah. But it is so easy to accidentally reinforce this.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Right. One of the classic examples that I see and have seen in real life is we'll just say dog A and dog B. Okay. Mm-hmm. So dog A is right next to the human. Dog B tries to approach. Dog A kind of like lunges and attacks dog B. And the owner reaches down to stop the fight, reaches down and picks up dog A.
Yeah.
Right? At that moment, we've accidentally reinforced this whole thing. Mm-hmm. It doesn't matter how loud you yell at that moment, because you've just done likely something that the dog wanted you to do in the first place.
Right. And it is difficult in a multi-dog household. Like there's times when you just don't catch those little things because you're not even in the room with them.
Right. Oh, hold on. So I don't lose my train of thought there. The reason that that's something that the dog wanted, mm-hmm. right, was they wanted that dog B to get away. Mm-hmm. Right. They were kind of guarding that human or that human interaction. Then they got whisked away from the other dog, right? Increasing the distance, which is what the dog wanted in the first place. Mm-hmm. And so that is the process of the reinforcement. So I just wanted to finish that out before I forgot about it. Go ahead.
Oh, I'm not going to remember what mine was. But we can continue.
Okay. All right. So not all aggression is the same. And aggression also, it's going to have layers, right? There can be fear-based aggressive tendencies. It can be frustration-based. It can be territorial. It could be usually territorial is that like resource guarding that we see. And it could be a level or like a mismatch of energies, right? It kind of is in the frustration base, but that's something we usually see ramp up slowly as the dog gets more and more frustrated. It can just be I am unsure, right? I'm not really scared. I'm not really frustrated, and I'm not really territorial, but I just want my space right now, right? All right. Next, mislabeling the behavior can also lead to bad decisions, right? If you are sitting there and you're like, this is fear-based, but it's not,
Right.
and it's actually frustration, or it's territorial, you can go down the wrong path here.
Yeah, and that's where overexcitement usually comes into the picture, where people think that the dog is like excited, but dogs can very easily get overwhelmed, and then it's just going to turn into something that you weren't expecting at all. Especially when you get in like tight spaces with dogs, greetings at doors, things like that are going to be where you really see those problems kind of come into play. But treating it like overexcitement or trying to socialize the dog more, I think, is also a big one, where if it's overexcitement at the door, then you just work on them greeting people even more or being at the door even more. But if you're still putting that dog in that situation, then it's still going to keep turning into like frustration or just like a flip-flop of emotions that a dog really can't control.
Yeah. Then genetics come into play. So the genetics of the dog are going to play a significant role in the tolerance that the dog has, both to their space, to sharing different resources, to sharing, we still categorize this as a resource, but let me put it into human terms. Sharing their space or sharing your space are two concepts that to humans are different, but to dogs are not. Mm-hmm. Whenever we have, where am I at? So the dogs with a genetic tendency for a lower threshold of tolerance, you're going to see an increase in frustration pretty much across the board with those dogs. They're going to have just a shorter fuse, right? And I want to make sure that we're talking about and framing out that these genetics are not something that you are ever going to control or that you're going to be able to adjust, right? So we have to really remember that we can't just ignore that in our quest for why is this happening.
Right, and I think that's where it comes into like knowing your breed, right? When you get your dog, the number one question we always ask people is like, why this dog? And if it's a guardian breed or what's considered a guardian breed, then you should know quite a bit about that breed before that dog comes into your home, because those are not easy breeds to work with. And do some of them go through life without exhibiting those tendencies? Yeah, but not very often. And so if you get a Great Pyrenees is a big one, or a Cane Corso, either of those dogs, if you haven't researched that breed and you end up even with a mixed breed, that's where going to the shelter and getting a dog that you don't know the genetics behind it, and you end up finding out, oh, well, it's got Great Pyrenees or a Cane Corso or, a Shepherd or any of those dogs, then you're working with a breed that really needs specific structure in that home. And they can't just have like free-for-alls most of the time, because they just genetically are drawn to being not more aggressive, but just more forward in how they act, and they're more willing to like just take leadership of the situation and the space and whatever it is, especially when it's them and another dog. When it's them and another human, that's going to play into how strong the genetics are. But if you get one of those breeds and another dog in the home, then a lot of times they're going to be the ones that are like, hey, I'm in charge, when you're not.
Yeah. How much are you adjusting your training plan and your management plan based on like the breed's tendencies when you set this up for clients?
I think that one strongly depends on how old the dog is. If it's a puppy, then our baseline structure is going to be pretty much the same that we teach across the board, but I am going to be a little bit more forward in my suggesting and being like, you don't have just a regular breed like mutt dog, whatever. You have this specific breed, and they have higher tendencies to show those qualities. And so just knowing what to be aware of, so just informing the client and the owner and being like, you have to pay attention to the littler signs. Whereas if it was a golden doodle or sheepadoodle or whatever, all the doodles, then they just don't, so many doodles, they just don't have the tendencies to have those behaviors, you know. Every once in a while, if they've like had some crazy things happen, then you might see it. But definitely best case scenario is, you know, those things as the dog is a puppy, and you're able to kind of keep that at bay to start off with.
Yeah, I think that the breed that you have and those genetics come into play. I'm not, my brain is just mush after this week. So we are recording this on a Friday evening, which is also why we have very few people actually on live listening right now. It's because we were joking about it. Everybody else has lives, just not us. However, I'm going to try to squeeze a little bit more juice out of my brain here. Just give me a second. When we're talking about breed tendencies and genetics, Brianna alluded to it, where it's like, why did you get this dog? And where did the dog come from? And did the dog come from a breeder? And is the breeder reputable? And all of these things. These are questions that need to be nailed down early in the dog's life, but also early in your management of dog-to-dog aggression. Mm-hmm. Because otherwise, you're chasing the strongest hormonal issues that you can possibly chase here. If a dog is lashing out and being aggressive or showing aggressive tendencies because of some genetic predisposition, and you're trying to fix it with treats and kind words, mm-hmm. you will fail.
Yeah.
And you will fail every time. And it's strong words, but I have not seen clear, definitive, peer-reviewed proof that you can revert and undo a dog's genetic disposition to certain tendencies with just positive, good job, here's a treat. It's just not going to work.
Oh yeah, no way.
So, that being said, let's talk about how we can manage both your experience in your home, but also the safety of humans and other dogs. Mm-hmm. I take a very hard line on that, that human safety should always come first.
Yeah.
And there are plenty of people that will disagree with me on that. Mm-hmm. And that's fine. But that is a moral and ethical concept that I stand very strong on, that humans and human safety should always come before your dog's safety and comfort.
Yeah.
All right. Now, you can't train what you can't control. Mm-hmm. So, when you have dog-to-dog aggression in your home, you've got to go back to the basics and make sure that you are really tight on all of your management.
Right, and it's going to sound like you are the warden of a prison.
Right.
And it will be.
That's where you have to be initially.
For a little bit, yeah, for a while.
Not forever.
Yep. But it's just like potty training, right? Yeah. It's like you don't always have to get up at 4 a.m., but if you don't, and you just miss it over and over and over, it does not get better.
Right. And we're going to talk about later, but I have written down one of the points, like every time that it happens, it's one more time that they've reinforced it.
Yeah.
Right. You're not just taking like one step forward, two steps back. No, you're taking one step forward, 20 steps back.
Yep.
So this is a hard fought process, and you've got to be exact. You've got to be precise. You need the right equipment. You need the right leash handling skills. You need the right awareness. You need the right ability to watch this dog and keep the dog separate in certain circumstances. Mm-hmm. And I'm going to take the hard line again. It's non-negotiable. This is not up for discussion.
Right. And
because you're talking about something that could potentially hurt you or someone else in the home.
Right. And we always will also like talk to owners that are like, well, this is not the dog for me. Right. And sometimes that has to be our recommendation. And it's never a recommendation we want to make. But if you don't have the capabilities to manage it, that dog is never going to get better. It's just going to get worse. And something really, really bad could end up happening. And so sometimes you get a dog that was a rescue and you don't know its history and you can't find it out and things like that. So we're never one to be like, well, you got the dog, now you have to like figure it out. There's some people that just like the dog do that.
And just like the dog came to you and maybe isn't cut out for your home. That's why screening is so important, right?
Yeah.
A dog goes to one home and it's like, oh, this is not the right home.
Yeah.
Okay. So that doesn't mean that you just have to put the dog down.
Right. You just do your best to find a fitting home.
The dog just needs to go to a fitting home that works.
And being honest with the next people is going to be the biggest, the most ethical and best thing that you could do for that dog, because that is where he or she, the dog, can find a home that truly fits them. If you have a multi-dog household with dog-to-dog aggression and you're like, hey, yeah, I don't know anything about this dog, and it gets put in another multi-dog household, then you never know where it's going to go from there. But if you're like, hey, this dog does not do well with other dogs, then that information can be shared, and hopefully the people that get them understand that that's how that dog is.
Right. And we're also not saying, well, since if your dog is exhibiting this and you have this, that you've got to get rid of your dog.
Right.
But what we are saying is that if you are not able to handle this, and you don't have the ability to get a professional involved, neither of us are of the mindset that like, well, you adopted this dog, so you just have to live with it, and it has to completely turn your life upside down for the rest of your life.
Right.
That's again, right?
Human safety and
right.
Your human life is number one.
And so this may rub some people the wrong way, but how are you supporting the dog? If you put them in a position where this is now the only way forward is for this dog to just live in this crate away from everyone or the other dogs in the house, and it doesn't get to run and play, and it doesn't get to go on walks, and it doesn't get to this, and it doesn't get to that because your lifestyle and your house doesn't support that, then what kind of life are they really living, right? So that's the conversation that we're having when we step in and go, have you considered rehoming the dog? Not rehoming the dog, passing him off with his problems, but there are people that get along with certain people, there's dogs that just don't get along with certain dogs.
Right. It's like dogs that don't get along with cats. Usually when you see that, it says, hey, this dog doesn't like cats. And it's like, hey, this dog doesn't like dogs.
Yeah, we're not judging. We're just like, cool, it doesn't like them.
Right. And there's plenty of people that want only one dog in their household.
Right.
So it's not an impossible fix. But again, like that's our last resort if a client is like, I just cannot handle this.
Correct. Okay. So now we'll go back to we've made a decision not to get rid of our dog. and we want to work through this. So you need proper equipment, right? You need well-fitted collars, right? You need a well-fitted collar. You need a leash, and you need leash handling skills. You need timing. You need exactness on your markers. You need to be able to reward the dog and correct the dog both fairly and ethically on both sides of the spectrum, and do it predictably and repeatably.
Mm-hmm.
And if you don't have that, then I'm telling you, you're in over your head. And that's where you need to look for help.
Yeah.
And that's a whole string. I mean, you go back and listen to the other 28 podcasts, and there is a ton of information on there on what those basics look like.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Next, you've got to prevent rehearsing these issues.
Yeah.
Every time that they do it. 10 steps back, 20 steps back. Think about it, 100 steps back. Because every single time it's going to be kind of emotional, right?
Yep.
And anytime we deal with something emotional, you're dealing with hormones. And when the hormone flood comes in, that dog is going to feel the strongest feelings that they feel ever.
Mm-hmm.
So you're not just getting just barked at that dog. You're getting an entire shift in the biochemistry of that dog, each and every one of these outbursts. So we have to manage them by preventing them. Every single aggressive outburst just keeps strengthening the behavior more and more and more. And eventually, it makes it really, really hard to change.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's why prevention is key. If you need to crate your dog, or crate both dogs, that's fine.
Yep.
You are not a bad dog owner because you have to prevent your dogs from intermingling when you're not present.
Yeah.
You need to supervise. You need to remove everything that dog owns in that house.
Right. And that's where it comes with like controlled setups beat the real world chaos, right? If you cannot manage the environment, you should not be testing your dog in any way with food, toys, bones, any of that stuff.
Right, because the more things that you leave out, that's a test. That's not training.
Yeah.
You're just like, yeah, don't do it.
And
what happens if they do?
Right. Everybody goes, well, they didn't do it last time.
Right.
Well, they haven't done it in a while.
Yep.
Well, they only did it one time, right? But it only takes one time for a dog to learn, oh, I snapped and snarled at that dog and it backed up away from that thing.
Yeah. All right. So we talked about preventing rehearsal, and I think that prevention is far more important than just correcting the incident. And here's why. If you prevent it and the dog doesn't get to practice it, they don't reinforce it. The neurons that neural pathway doesn't continue to get stronger. Eventually, those things and those patterns die off naturally, completely force-free and very highly ethically.
Mm-hmm.
Now, that being said, you still can't afford for a dog or person to get hurt.
Yeah.
And so, if you need to remove a dog from a situation, here's where we recommend that the dog wears a collar.
Mm-hmm.
It's where we recommend that the dog drags a leash.
Mm-hmm.
You need to be able to affect a change of position in that dog without physically putting your hands in between the two dogs.
Yeah.
Super important. Now, next, we're going to kind of talk, we'll just segue right into this. So now we're going to get into like really what we want to do. And I want to point out this concept of if you cannot trust your dog to make a good decision and not bite another dog, can you use a muzzle? Should you use a muzzle?
Mm-hmm.
So here's the take. Initially, I'm all about trying it. The upsides and downsides. One, you can carefully and with a kind of a phased approach, you are able to get your dog into a closer proximity without them potentially getting into a position where they actually like hurt another dog or you. The downside is that you can create and ramp up that frustration.
Mm-hmm.
And so it can work, but I've seen it online as like, well, you just have one of the dogs wear a muzzle. It just depends.
Right, because if it's the fear aggression
Right.
and you don't know the difference between the two, you're just putting that dog in a situation that they're already scared of and lashing out about, and you're just making them like you're forcing
and
them
now
to
you've
deal
taken
with it.
away
Yeah.
their ability to protect themselves
Right.
from this situation, right?
Which may just reinforce the fear even deeper.
Correct.
Yeah.
So this is where there's these different things, right?
Mm-hmm.
Now, where a muzzle really comes into play and works pretty well is with a resource garter.
Yeah.
Because it's not fear, it's not frustration based, it's not all of those things. It's just opportunistic.
Yeah.
Of the dog. It's opportunistic of the dog, and they're like, I'm gonna lunge at you. Well, now you've taken that away, and now they're forced to make a different choice because they can't do that.
Yeah.
So this is the I wanted to address it because I've seen it multiple times on like, Facebook Reels and things that come up, and it's not an automatic like, oh, well, cool. I can just put a muzzle on my dog and then let them loose in the house.
Right.
And just let them do their thing. That being said, all tools can work in certain situations, but this is where professional assistance and advice come into play.
Yeah.
All right. Now, things that you can do that we do really, really encourage, right? Your communication. One, we talked about the foundation. You need to clean it up. Your communication sequence has got to be on point. So the concept of you saying no, most owners have poisoned that cue to the point where it's not useful anymore.
Yeah.
Because we hear the joke all the time. It's like the dog thinks their name is no.
Yeah.
Well, at that point, for sure, no is not going to have any effect.
Right.
You're not going to get any use out of it. So it's time to change the cue. You can change the cue to or at or or anything else.
Mm-hmm.
Apple, carpet, bubble, doesn't matter.
Mm-hmm.
Pick a word. But you may find yourself needing to get real serious on building value in no.
Yeah.
As a pattern interrupter. So that way no actually provides information and correction if needed.
Yeah, and that's where we tell owners it's not like your dog does something sometimes and then other times it doesn't have to do it. It's a 100% of the time you're having your dog do it, or 0% of the time is the better option than having a dog do something 50% of the time and then the other times you're like, I'm not worried about it, because it provides so much like inconsistency in the dog's mind that it's like, do I have to do it this time or no, or yes or no?
Yeah. Or yes or no. Okay, the next one is that we've got to go, this is another back to basics foundation, but we've got to reset the dog and how they think. We've got to reset the dog and how they process. We've got to reset the dog and how they regulate themselves. Because when a dog lashes out with aggression, it's a lack of threshold control. Because basically it's a mismatch of, we see the situation, and the reason why we're usually, let's say a random coyote runs out of the woods, runs right at you, and your dog barks at it, charges it, bites it, and it runs away. I don't know very many owners that would, one, be mad at their dog, two, think that their dog needs more training, or three, be like, I'm worried about my dog having dog-to-dog aggression.
Right.
Right? So, I say that because what we're talking about is a dog that's displaying aggression in a situation that the owner thinks is over the top or unnecessary.
Mm-hmm.
Otherwise, we wouldn't be having this conversation. So usually what we're talking about, it's not actually about the dog growling or biting. It's about the dog growling and biting in a situation where we're like, whoa, easy, dude. That did not need to be handled that way.
Yeah.
All right. So now we've kind of shaped that. When we're talking about that situation, it's a direct reflection that that dog cannot control their threshold and they're keep being pushed over the edge too easily.
Right. Emotional regulation.
Right. And so what we can do to fix that is go back to the beginning where we have to teach the dog to basically be the Tibetan monk and do the meditation.
Yeah, it's just meditate.
Right. Just meditate all the time. So we can do that because it's like, well, how do you teach your dog to calm down? Because you sure can't be like, hey, dude, calm down. You can't tell it to relax. Mm-hmm. Right. On my previous military career, we would you'd be in the pool, right? And when someone would be struggling in the pool, the instructor would come over and get right in their face and be like, relax. And I was like, I don't know that that's working for him. Like,
yeah, if I was drowning, I probably wouldn't be relaxing.
I don't think that that's probably going to help. Well, the dog is no different, right? Different situation, but same end result.
That's a crazy concept.
No matter how much you tell the dog to relax, it ain't going to happen.
Right.
So we show the dog how to relax. We force the dog into a position that they have to relax. And then we pattern it and we use repetition until they get so used to doing it that they're able to do it faster, faster, and faster, and faster because we reinforce it. Mm-hmm. That's the process. Now we can do that through crate-based exercises. We can do that through place-based exercises. And we can do that through tether-based exercises. And sometimes we can put all of those together. Mm-hmm. So we'll talk through tethered place real fast. 1 minute or less. Ready, set, go.
Oh, me?
Yeah.
Okay. So just the instructions and the concept.
Yeah.
Okay. So dog on a flat collar is usually what we go with. Just a regular collar, slip lead, whatever it is. You are going to tie a leash I usually give it about 4 feet. Give or take 4-foot leash.
I got 60 seconds.
I know, I'm not good at this. You anchor it to something heavy. It can be back tied on a door handle, which means on the inside of the door, close the door. They're not going to rip the door handle off that way. We've used really heavy kettlebells for smaller dogs. Don't let them pull it though. Or like a big table or couch leg or something heavy. Give your dog a place bed if they're used to it. If not, they can just lay down. But we typically give the dog something that they're used to that they can lay down on. And then you clip the dog on and you just walk away.
Right. So you want to be somewhere near, just in case they get themselves into trouble.
Right. Don't walk away.
Right.
Like
you don't want to walk away for
walk
good.
away and check out from the dog.
You want to increase the distance though. And we increase the distance so that the dog sees that, oh, this is stressful. I am stuck here. I can't move. I can't go anywhere. But I'm not dying.
Yep.
And initially with a dog that goes over threshold real quick, they may show a little bit of frustration towards the leash. Mm-hmm. They may, paw at the bed or the floor or all sorts of things. But guess what? Eventually they go, and then they lay down.
And for dogs that already have anxiety and things like that and follow you around every time you make a half step, that dog may start whining. It may start barking at you, trying to get your attention. But those are the things also that you just have to work through with your dog. You're building a strong, confident dog is what I tell people, because nobody wants to see their dog stressed. But if you don't teach your dog how to handle that stress, they'll always be stressed.
Right.
But if you can teach them how to handle that, then eventually you'll have a dog that isn't stressed any longer and is like, oh, I go over here and I just lay down and it's fine.
Right. I did a coaching call today where I told an owner that if you are giving your dog something to do all the time, you're just teaching it to have ADHD.
Yeah.
Right? You're not giving the dog an opportunity to just do nothing.
Yeah.
And if we don't teach the dog to do nothing, they won't learn it by themselves. Mm-hmm. So it's not that you are being such a bad dog owner and just, abusing your dog because you're tying them down. No. They're just on a leash.
Right.
Same way that they would be on a leash anywhere else.
Yeah. But
you're limiting their freedom and allowing them. Ideally, you can do it next with a little place bed or something.
Right.
So that way you can kill two birds with one stone, so to speak. You can, one, teach them that emotional regulation, and two, teach them that there's value in the place bed because it's more comfortable than the floor.
Yeah, I don't know that I've ever done it without a place bed. I pretty much always will give a dog, even if they don't know place, because they'll always usually go.
Because they'll eventually be like, well, right, I could lay on this hard floor, or I could lay on this like comfy bed.
Yep.
So that's how we can start to build value into the place bed too. Anyway, the concept is simple though. We're going to reinforce calm behavior. And when the dog finally relaxes and lays down, that's when you go and you let them off of the leash, or you go and you reward them, or you go and you initiate play, or you whatever. But we reinforce that. And maybe it took an hour. I've seen it take up to 2 hours for a dog before they stopped pacing and stopped freaking out about not being able to be like touching you.
Yeah.
And they finally just like laid down. But guess what? The next time we cut that time in half, it was only an hour.
Yeah.
And the next time it was only 35 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
And then we started whittling it down. It was 30 and then 25 and then 20 and then 20. So the concept here is that the more times that they do that process where they have to relax themselves and self-soothe, they'll get better at it.
Right, because that's also not one of those exercises where it's like a forever thing, right? You work on tether place until they emotionally regulate. Essentially, by the time that they've learned to do that, you've taught place, and now you no longer need to use the tether because they will just go to their place and relax.
Correct. And because we patterned that position and that bed, that's where they now go in order to decompress.
Yeah.
Yeah. That is the goal. So that teaches a dog to manage their own stress and to relax themselves, self-soothe. That builds more overhead between their threshold and the blow up.
Yeah.
Right? So now that gives you this ability to, I think I said that backwards, the threshold and their blow up. Their threshold typically is the line at which once they push past there, that's when they blow up. So what I was trying to say is that pushes the line, that threshold, a little higher, a little further. Mm-hmm. So now you've got more overhead, you've got more like playroom in between there. So now a dog can get a little frustrated, but not instantly hit that threshold and blow up. Now they can get frustrated and then be like, all right, whatever, fine. Right, you're going to take that ball? Fine. I didn't want that ball anyway.
Right, because if you're dealing with this at home, this is a slow process. This is not like a 30-day thing. Your dog is going to spend months reevaluating all these situations and learning through all these situations what is acceptable and what's not acceptable.
Yeah.
And if you miss things along the way, then it's going to take even longer.
Also, 100%, this is going to be a lifestyle change.
Yeah, for sure. This is not a cool...
Because your lifestyle is partially what caused this in the first place.
Yeah.
And I don't mean that mean.
Right,
but
because
it
there's
just is
little
right?
things.
Because
I'll name the top two things. Super easy. It's food, leaving food around for dogs to like free feed, and leaving toys and bones around for them to play with all the time in a multi-dog household.
Yeah.
Number 2 top things we see that eventually will typically cause a problem.
And so finally, progression, right? We need systematic success here. And so progression of, hey, I haven't had a blow up in a while. Well, when was the last one? Well, how do you know? This is where logging comes into play. I'm going to encourage you, you need a solid logging system. Now, either you get your pen and paper out and you write this stuff down, or you download the Paw Print Academy app and you start putting in logs, because you can do it in 10 seconds right from your phone. Tap, 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 boom, it's in. And now you remember, you can look back and you know what actually happened. Not what you think happened 30 or 40 or 60 days from now, looking back. Well, I think it's getting better. Is it getting better? You should know. And the way you do that is by keeping track of your progress. So next, with that, we can start at distances from the other dogs, or from the toys, or from the food, or from whatever the situation is. Start at a distance where the dog can succeed. Then we slowly close the gap. We slowly decrease the distance. We get things closer and closer in proximity. And then we make sure that we don't push over threshold, because going too hard too fast is a recipe for failure. And that's where we see people, they get frustrated because they're like, this should be handled by now. But you're not dealing with a person that you can just talk to. You're dealing with a dog, and they can't talk to you. So you're going to have a lot of patience.
Yeah.
But with patience, you can make progress. Once again, we're going to circle back to the disclaimer that if these concepts don't make sense, or you're like, oh, I need more information on this, call a dog trainer, right? Find somebody with some education behind them. Yeah. That's not just somebody who watched YouTube videos and decided that they're going to train dogs. But you can make a lot of progress on your own. I'm just not comfortable telling people that they can handle 100% of these cases by themselves.
Yeah.
All right. Let's talk about emotional reactions, because this, and we're going to kind of like wrap up and close with this, but this is an emotional subject, because a lot of times it's scary. A lot of times it's worrying. It's worrisome. Wrong word, sorry. A lot of times when you see your dog that you love attack another dog that you also love,
right,
for no reason, that's a very scary thing to see.
Yeah.
Now, I say no reason, I would be using air quotes, right? Because there probably was a reason. There always is a reason.
There's always a reason.
But those things aside, what makes the whole situation worse is when you dump all of your emotions onto the dogs. And what I mean by that is, when you do correct a scary situation like that, you've got to detach yourself.
Yeah.
You just got to be like, no, and move. And you move them, you correct the situation. Maybe you put one in a crate, maybe you put them both in a crate, whatever it is, you remove the situation, and then you move forward. If you make a huge deal of it and everything changes, you now give the dog a whole bunch of variables for them to like pick out and start reasoning why those things were so different.
Yeah.
And sometimes the dog can misplace those emotions on the other dog as the reason, which then reinforces and decreases the dog's threshold to that other dog.
Yep.
So it's like, look what you did. You made mom all crazy and upset and all of these things. Like, I'm not going to stand for that. And they increase the frustration, right?
Sounds like kids.
Right. Exactly.
Fighting children.
There's obviously more to it than that. It's a very simplistic example, but I want to talk about it because I think it's important. You've got to remove the emotional reaction from everything, because otherwise the dog will I'm thinking of like hang your hat on it. They'll just,
You have such good catchphrases that I never know when you see them.
they will they'll just zero in on that reason or on that emotion, that emotional display, and they'll attach meaning to it, right? And this is what increases the aggression, or can make the aggression worse. That's the end of it there. Right. I need the applause for getting through that one.
The yellow
My
button.
brain is mush right now. Okay, I wrote down one more. What is realistic progress actually look like in this? Right. What should people be looking for? I'll go first. I think that people should just start to see a decrease in the amount of displays of the issue, right? So it's likely not going to go down to zero. So we should be ready for that, especially if you're working through it on your own. Ideally, it does go down to zero, not because the situation is fully solved, but because you have such strong management and structure put in place, they can't do what they were doing before.
Yeah.
That's the goal. Then progress looks like a decrease in the
I was going to say a decrease in stress level and like the level of anxiety in a dog, because a lot of times that's what you see is it's just a dog that's like so stressed that they can't relax.
Yeah. And I was thinking like a decrease in the number of events,
Yeah.
right? Or the frequency. There we go. I finally found it. The decrease in frequency of those events. The second thing that we should see with realistic progress is with a dog that reacts to something predictably, we want to start seeing a decrease in the distance that we're able to get and still remain under threshold.
Yeah.
That is key. With a dog that is aggressive to another dog and you don't know why, you have no business experimenting with the distance.
Yeah.
Because you don't know why. That would be like you knowing that you're sick and you not going to the doctor and just going to CVS and blindly picking medicine off of the shelf.
Yeah.
Right? Like
might work,
it
might not,
might,
but
it
you
might
still
not.
won't know why.
And you might just die, right?
Yeah.
Like
You might. I mean,
So-
I don't know about CVS, but,
I'm just saying.
maybe.
But the concept is that you can't that is not a fair and ethical solution to put a dog in a position where they are feeling a whole whirlwind of emotions and you don't even know why, but you're like trying to experiment. Oh, I think we can get a little closer now. Oh, I think we can get a little closer. If you don't know, you've got to figure that out first.
Yeah.
So please consult a dog trainer, right? If you are struggling with something like this and you need help and you don't even know where to go, you can reach out to us at team at thepawprintacademy.com. Be happy to answer any questions that you may have, or at least try to point you in the right direction. All right. So with that, I'm going to unmute the chat. If we got any questions I can answer. Now is the time for that. I have no Jeopardy music today.
Oh, no.
Sorry. I'll play my
I like the science one.
right, the science song.
Yeah, I
There we
like
go.
that one. It's nice.
Science.
Some pretty good elevator music.
Yeah, that's all right there. Okay. No questions. Going once. Going twice. Made sure that we're on mute.
To no one.
All right. No questions tonight. Moving on. Listener project number 1, environmental control audit. I want you to evaluate all of your current routines and environments and start identifying where your dog has opportunities to rehearse those bad behaviors and write them down.
Yeah.
Right? Log them. If you have access to the app already, log them in the app. If you don't, you can get it in about a week. Next, remove or manage those situations immediately. You've got to get a handle on this, because the more that your dog rehearses it, the more you are up a creek.
Mm-hmm. Without a paddle.
And no paddle.
That's the important part. Without a paddle.
The whole up a creek, but no paddle, but
because
would it assume you could come back down
the creek.
But do you need a paddle? Maybe
if you're going up the creek without a paddle. I don't know what the saying is.
We have been derailed.
Yep.
It's Friday night. Okay. We gotta manage those situations immediately. Back to the notes.
Yeah.
This could include like your walking routes or the time of day or maybe an uncontrolled or unsupervised interaction or a time when you let the dogs outside and they're outside together and you're not going out with them because they're just going potty in the morning. Whatever it is, you got to manage it. You got to figure it out. It's going to take a lifestyle change temporarily in order to get ahead of this.
Yeah.
All right. Your goal is to audit the environment, figure out what you can change, and then stop the cycle before you try to fix it.
Yeah.
You got to stop it. Okay. Project number 2, controlled exposure. So 1, start working at a distance where your dog notices the other dog and they can remain under control.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe that's in another room. Maybe it's across the yard. Maybe it's in the same room, but with a few feet in between. It all is situational dependent, but you have to start at a distance where you are confident that the dog can stay under control, because it doesn't do you any good to put them just a little bit too close and be like, oh, well, I thought.
Mm-hmm.
Well, now they rehearsed it. Now you're back 100 steps.
Yeah.
So don't do that again. The moment your dog begins to fixate, here's the next thing. Can you read your dog's body language? I cannot teach you to read your dog's body language in 1 hour. But as you realize and see it, and they start fixating, give them a clear no and redirect them. Next, the second your dog disengages, we can mark with good, yes, break, whatever it is, mark the behavior as, hey, good job, you did the right thing. Mm-hmm. Let the dog know. Keep any sessions that you do with this short, controlled, repeatable, and then just progress the distance slowly over time. Keep track, right? That is something that you can do. You can, with a couple of taps, you can keep track of exactly how many feet you are, with a little slider wheel, on how many feet away is the issue. And keep your dog outside of that initially.
Yeah.
Work through your structure, work through your management, and then slowly decrease the distance over time. All right, that is all we've got for you tonight. Thank you for tuning in, and thanks for listening. If you've got any questions, once again, our email is team@thepawprintacademy.com. We will be putting out a bigger announcement next week when we start releasing the app. And till then, we'll see you.
Good night.
Good night.